What up, guys? Welcome to Base Damage. Hope you are all doing awesome today. Having a great February so far. This is the podcast for the month of February. We finally hit podcast number 90. Woot! Really awesome. But yeah, no, let's get right into this. I'm wanting to do a little bit different of a format as far as actually segmenting out the podcast, and as well as adding a little bit extra time. Since I'm only doing these once a month now, this is probably going to end up being just a little bit longer. Not so much, but you know, if I end up going an hour talking, I don't fucking care. It may end up being less than that, but it's whatever. So the first segment is always going to be updates as far as things announced for Bushi and for Weiss, Schwarz, and whether that be English or JP. And boy, do we have some fucking announcements. Holy balls. I have been trying. I saw all of these announced when I was back out on the road and trying to find the posts that I initially saw for it. It's buried through like Facebook and whatnot. So I'm going to go over as much as I can recall. For JP, there was a lot of announcements. More sets for Sympho gear. That's not exactly unexpected. They already have a couple sets anyway. Plus, Sympho gear is getting like another season or whatever, which is really cool. I like a lot of the music from it anyway. So as far as like the anime, that's getting another set. Oh, but we're also going to get into the English. I know I talked about like Batman Ninja in last month's podcast, and holy crap, that was to me that was such a weird one from just out of nowhere. Like I still need to watch the Batman Ninja anime or show or whatever the fuck it's supposed to be. I think it's like on Netflix or something. I don't know. Could be wrong. I'll be double checking on that and actually end up watching that at some point. I actually kind of give my opinion on it. I'm gonna try to do that before we get it, but. Also, not just for... we'll get to that in a second. Sorry. Still stay on JP for a second, Billy. The next ones that were announced... there was one that was a mix of a whole bunch of different characters on it, and it's called Kadokawa Sneaker Bunko. It's kind of funky because it had like 5 different characters up there, and I'm trying to remember the name, the characters that were up there, but supposedly that's already been announced for... April for JP as April 5th. I don't remember if I mentioned Goblin Slayer like a while back. Apparently that's also announced. I remember it being announced. I don't know if that was announced with the other groupings of sets and whatnot that we're going to be getting. We are getting, that they're getting, sorry. JP is getting because I play English. There's going to be more Love Live. They showed one for both the first generation, which is Muse, and the second one, which is Akors. I apologize if I butchered the Akors pronunciation. But more Love Live in general, so our buddy Joe Schmo is... pulling his hair out as we speak in anticipation for that because he thought it was done. He thought it was over. He's like, oh, I'm not going to have to worry about getting any more Love Live. And all of a sudden, Bushiroad's like, nope, give us your wallet, bitch. So, on top of that, there was one of the other biggest ones was that 2 weeks prior to English getting Cardcaptor Sakura, JP got an announcement that it's getting Cardcaptor Sakura, which we're going to get into that in just a bit here. That's like the main topic today. That is the main segment as far as just like, what the fuck? There's a lot of people, there's strong opinions about this. I personally have a couple of opinions, but I'm going to be sharing mostly what other people have stated because I agree with a lot of those statements, and it's kind of crazy. Anyway, so getting into that, so there was Goblin Slayer, Kadokawa. Oh, okay. For English, the Revue Starlight. It's like idols fighting or whatever. Also, recently, or let's see, The trial decks for Goblin Slayer, Trial Deck Plus, and Kadakawa Sneaker Bunko has already been announced. There is going to be Overlord also just recently came out. That was last week. So the next thing JP's getting is the Girls Band Party Volume 2 booster pack, which I believe we've also already been announced for in English. And if I am forgetting any particular sets that were announced for JP, I apologize. Once again, I tried my darndest to dig back up that post, and it is buried. I've been searching for that for the past 2 hours, and I cannot find the post. And it's not all been updated on Heart of the Cards, but I will definitely be going over that and more stuff that gets announced as it comes out, as it gets posted over the next couple months, and hopefully by then maybe we get a little bit more definitive timeline as far as when stuff is going to be coming out. Going over to the English Weiss site, I want to see if anything has been announced. Okay, the Revu Starlight has been announced for June. Trial Deck Plus and a set, June 14th. The Multi-Live has been announced for... Bang Dream Girls Band Party Multi-Live has been announced for May 31st. Sorry, my sinuses are trying to act up once again. The SAO Alternative Gun Gale Online, both the Trial Deck Plus and the booster pack are coming out May 17th. Let's see how much that holds up. Let's see. I'm trying to see if anything else has been announced. I'm having to go back a little bit on their pages. Excuse me. We just did get the Cardcaptor Sakura Queer Card set, Trial Deck Plus and all that in English, and goodness gracious. I did look over prices for it, and a lot of stuff, at least by what was posted on JKTCG, as far as, it's something a lot of people check out as far as if no one knows what it is. I'll actually put a link to the description in there. Not sponsored in any way, shape, or form, but I do use it as kind of a reference. Like, some of their prices aren't always the most accurate, but if nothing else, they have prices up first before a lot of other people. Between them and Ideal 808. And from what I've seen, the most expensive card is $15, and that's a double rare. It's only one card. Everything else is there's a $12, two $10. And this is cards they have in stock, but I feel that they may be in stock for a while. The rares are very, very cheap. I think nothing above $3. So if this is a set you end up wanting to actually go for, by all means, it's up to you. But that's it as far as confirmed dates between now and May. Like I said, there's some other Cardcaptor Sakura thing posted up here on the English Weiss site that says April 26th, but I'm not gonna assume that that's actually a thing. That might be just a typo or whatever. But as far as right now, there's nothing else announced guaranteed for English until May. So I'm hoping that the No Game No Life set, when they finally get that squared away, comes out finally, will be posted up maybe for April. Maybe that'll be for April, and that'll be really cool. If we don't get anything for March, that's understandable. Give them time to catch up on stuff and get everything squared away. But that'll be really cool. So that's it for the updates. Outside of that, I do want to give a shout out. This is actually going to be also kind of still in the vein of updates, but we're going to the next segment, which is actually a little bit of insider information from what happened with Worlds from the last podcast. So a little bit of previous podcast overview. In the last one, I talked about the results from Worlds, and I want to give a shout out on YouTube to I apologize if I mispronounced this first name. I apologize, but I'm going to try my darndest. Casnera Aggressive posted up a comment explaining a whole bunch of the stuff that actually occurred. And actually some very interesting things that I didn't realize had been changed up. First off, the actual top 8, because once again, I tried to find a post for that one, and it was just fucking buried. The top 8 after 6 Swiss rounds for those were Love Live Sunshine, based off the Chica combo, Contact Collection, SAO Zekken Shot, Zekken and Last Shot Xenon, another Contact Collection, which was actually UA, so he got 4th after AOT after top 6 in top 8. Then it was 5th place was ReZero, if I'm reading this correctly, because it just says RZ. I'm hoping that I'm understanding that to be ReZero. SAO, the standby setup, Persona 5, and then KS, which is Konosuba. So that was the top 8. And a really big thing that got mentioned to this. And one of the things I mentioned was I was very surprised that AOT did not top. AOT was actually very few people played AOT. Even one of our fellow people who have been on the podcast, Riaz, he didn't play AOT, and I know he was always a big advocator of it. As far as like explaining a lot of the stuff that went on for it, and was just like, oh, this is really cool. So he didn't play it. There was one of the reasons is apparently Bushi was not allowing anyone to play double sleeved. A lot of people, what I see people do, especially if they have like special character sleeves, a lot of those can be pricey. Shout outs to one of my buddies, this guy named Andrew from our locals, ended up getting me some really awesome character sleeves, and I really like them, but I don't want to use them. Or even some of the like really special looking character sleeves that we've had on the channel for giveaways and whatnot. And I know a whole bunch of other people in our locals and whatnot who have run decks that have those very special sleeves, or they have expensive cards. And not only will they, whether it be character sleeves or very expensive cards, but they'll double sleeve it, or they'll put it in a normal sleeve, and then they'll take this very, it's a little bit larger than your normal sleeve, and just an oversleeve, and put it on top of that, sometimes alternating which way the opening of the sleeve is, to keep the card much more protected, especially if you're going to be using it. And I completely understand where people are coming from doing that, because you don't want your shit to get fucked up. And there are a lot of people who will max rarity their decks, and double sleeving them is the best way to keep those protected, at least by what I've seen. It's one reason I don't really like getting a lot of high rarity cards, is I don't want to double sleeve my decks. I don't mind if someone else does, but Bushi did not want people doing this, and maybe that's a way to keep people from... there may have been people who were trying to stack a special way with the double sleeves. Like I said, a lot of people will mainly alternate, where you have the card, maybe you insert the card into the original sleeve facing upright, and then you take the oversleeve and have it going down over top of that, so that the opening, so it's not like a direct opening to the card, it's alternating. And a lot of people would do that, and I can understand where if you double sleeve that, you could potentially stack your deck in such a way that, let's say if you did this with your climaxes where you didn't alternate the oversleeves, that would probably show, maybe not for all 8 climaxes, because that would just be too fucking obvious, or even like some one-ofs or something that you have of in the deck, or maybe your level 3s, or whatever the fuck you wanted to try to know where they were in the deck, especially with climaxes being a very big thing. I can understand where people alternated for most of the deck, but then the specific cards they were trying to stack, they instead had both of the sleeves pointing the same way, where it was both the openings going outward the same direction, it might be a little bit easier if I could like visibly show it, because I do have some oversleeves somewhere, and I could show it maybe on a future podcast or something like that, as far as like in the realm of that type of discussion. I might be able to show that another way, but basically, instead of alternating, having both the sleeves pointing the same way would show up on, if you then shuffled the deck and sat it down, more than likely, depending on how the sleeves are set up, you may be able to see where those cards are in your deck a lot easier. As far as stacking purposes, and shoot, there may be another way. That's just the first part. That's just the first thing that really came to mind in that regard, and it may have been a thing of we don't want people stacking. So that may be their reasoning behind it, but in doing so, people who max rarity'd certain decks, especially if they were playing with like SPs and whatnot, and from what I was told, UA didn't play his AOT deck because of that, and he had a very high rarity deck of Attack on Titan, as far as just SP Mikasas, the level 3s and whatnot, and just a whole bunch of just very, very high rarity cards, whether that be signs, triple rares, whatever. And I can understand not wanting to play a deck that is high rarity like that, single sleeved, because shit might get fucked up. I completely understand that. And then people who they're like, oh, I can't do that. Fuck, I need to play a completely different deck that isn't high rarity. So Bushi doing that actually messed up some people who played that way. You know, I have nothing against anybody who wants to max rarity a deck. I used to try to do the same thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Years ago. But after stuff got stolen multiple times, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go for the cheaper decks, you know? And the mentality kind of carried over to Weiss for the most part. So that's why a lot of budget decks get made for the channel. So it's just that mentality, but also I like to help new people. So that was a big thing. I just didn't know that. And maybe other people did. Maybe I was just the only person under a fucking rock and didn't know this when this got announced, or when this, like, when rules were being told about that. Honestly, I also don't know when the players got told about it, because I feel that if they got told early enough in advance about this, UA might have been able to pick up, or any other person who wanted to initially play AOT may have tried to just like borrow copies of non-SP cards. It's like, oh cool, I still want to play what I feel is a very good deck. I just have to get the non-high rarity versions of the cards. I mean, whether that be, you know, actually sitting down and purchasing them, or just borrowing them for not wanting to spend that much money, or whatever. I feel that if they were given enough notice of this in advance, that may have been able to be done. But if, you know, they were told short notice and they had to work with what they had and did exactly that, you know, that's kind of whatever. Which even, you know, obviously the players like that who are going to be going to Worlds and are trying to, you know, playing for all the marbles, they're going to try their damnedest in still trying to put together a very good deck, or what they consider to be a very solid deck. And that's still, you know, what was attempted, outside of, well, I ain't got the shit for what I wanted to play, you know. That's whatever. So the whole playing single-sleeved, even though it helps reduce the amount of people trying to cheat, or, you know, whatever other reason. Maybe it was just, you know, especially if Bushiroad was selling their own product of, like, their specialty sleeves, I can't understand why they wouldn't want people to play those and show them off, or whatever the fuck. I don't know. So that's weird. So maybe that was the reason, maybe it wasn't. But the fact was, you couldn't double sleeve. So, and there you go. Aggressive also pointed out, I just said the last name of that to make it easier to say. Apologize, it just was easier. You didn't see a lot of Contact Collection topping in 2018 because the European fleet wasn't released until the very end of the fall circuit. So, and in Europe only, so Aggressive says we in Europe, so apparently you're from Europe. Much appreciated for listening to stuff. Crazy dude ranting about card games over here. Much appreciated. Only had 2 regionals after Kantai Collection 3 was released, and in one of them Kantai did actually participate and instantly topped. That was in the Italy Rome regionals. So definitely going to be checking that out, because I didn't really get a chance to go over a lot of the English stuff. Actually, fuck it, let's pull that up while we're at it here. So I gotta go to deck recipe for that. I accidentally clicked the wrong thing. Me being a dumbass. So let's just specifically go to that, because I don't remember going over the European stuff. I think I only covered the stuff that was in America. So there are 6 European ones, and then 3 for the Asia Oceania, which is like New Zealand, Australia, the Philippines, and all that. Let's specifically look at Italy, Rome, and sure enough, the very top one that comes up here, Florian Roth, is Contact Collection, and I instantly see a lot of the new cards. Just obviously like the Prince Eugene, very, very good cards. Mixing in a whole bunch of the first set and European fleet, Congo, apparently. Once again, I realize sometimes they don't post up everything correctly up here, but if this is how it actually ran, awesome looking deck so far, dude. Then it was Love Live Sunshine and AOT. So let's see what the setups for that were. If this is correct, it was the Chica combo for the Sunshine, and it looks to be Aaron Mikasa, the level 1 Aaron combo and the level 3 Mikasa combo, it seems. Which is understandable. Basically one of the more typical setups for that. So it might go over all of the European ones right here. So let's do it. Fuck it. Already looked through one of them. But yes, no, thank you to Aggressive and pointing out a lot of that to me as well. Also, they were also saying how it would be awesome to see Yuki in on a podcast. Be greatly appreciated. If you ever do get back up with me, Yuki, we'll try. Honestly, I'll try to see if I can message you again at some point. It's just been a lot of timing issues on my part. So yeah, let's see. I'm trying to see what else really got mentioned. But that was like the main stuff that got pointed out to me and I wanted to bring up. So in that regards, continuing with this segment, we'll be going over some of the other ones that topped, at least according to what I'm seeing here. For France, it looks like a lot of, 2 AOTs and an SAO. For Germany was 2 Sunshines and an AOT. I like how the deck apparently for AOT was called Running in the 90s. Just funky. Also, shout-outs to the guy who won, his deck being Rico is Best Girl. Agree with you there, bro. Awesome, here we go. Okay, so the Netherlands was 2... Oh, it was SAO, Bang Dream, and then SAO. The SAO looked like it is Zekken and Last Shot. No surprise there, but still really good setup. The Bang Dream looks to be the level 1 Yukina and the level 3 Mocha finisher setup. And also Last Shot Zekken Yuki for the 3rd place. So then we have Then we have UK Huddersfield. SAO and 2 Attack on Titan decks. Looks to be once again Last Shot, Zekken Yuki, and Aaron and Mikasa, So not much variety there, but it's to be expected. And then lastly for Portugal is Sunshine, SAO, and Bang Dream. And I want to see. I've been getting so heavily invested in Bang Dream. I just want to see what the setup for this is. Oh, okay. This looks to be the Kokoro build. It's like Hello Happy World, but it splashes in green to be able to play the level 3 Mocha finisher. But it also has Kokoro, which is like a Musashi, so that's understandable. That's freaking awesome. So this is one of the more typical builds I've seen, but at the same time, I very much enjoy seeing this. Bang Dream just apparently has a whole bunch of different setups and whatnot that you can do, and it's very, very refreshing. But we're not taking damage from that refreshing information. Ha! Bad jokes. Don't judge. Okay, then for the Asia Oceania, just because I don't remember, I didn't cover these at all. So, for New Zealand was 2 Bang Dreams and an SAO. Looks to be the typical setups for most of these. Except the SAO was a standby build. I like that. Birdcage Diva Yukina. Philippines was a Bang Dream and 2 AOT decks. Definitely big shout outs to the Bang Dream player. It was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and Intense Shout setup, which is actually something I have been working on myself. I don't know if I've posted that deck up yet. I may have. By the time this comes out, I may have posted up a build for it. But it'll be just my own little creation, personally. Let's see. Then AOTs were the typical Aaron Mikasa. I keep saying typical. No offense to the people who played it, but I'm just pointing out it's just easier to say, oh, it's the usual build. But congrats on those who did top. And then last week was Australia with a Bang Dream and 2 AOT decks. Once again, Yukina and Kasumi combos for the Bang Dream, and Aaron and Mikasa, it looks to be for both of the AOT players. So yeah, for real, shout outs to all of y'all. Really freaking awesome. And I just realized I didn't cover the European side of it. But you can honestly thank Kesnera Aggressive for pointing out a lot of this stuff to me and making me want to also discuss the European side. I wanted to later on anyway, but I figured, fuck it. If this was already mentioned, I might as well go ahead and talk about it. So, really cool. Much appreciated. And big shout out to Kesnera Aggressive. We are going to get to the next segment, which was the main topic of conversation today. Oh boy, here we go. This is going to trigger people, and let's do it. So, the main topic I wanted to get to today was the fact of one of the sets that got announced for JP was Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card. And that it pissed off a lot of people. And this is how it's supposed to go. One, you announced, Bushi, calling you out here. You announced this 2 weeks before it comes out in English. Bad move. Reason being is Bushi announced Cardcaptor Sakura as an English exclusive title. And that was what it was announced at. There was a blog that my buddy Moroku shared with me. And my buddy Moroku was big on wanting to play this set. He was like, oh, this is cool. This is nostalgia because I grew up watching Cardcaptor Sakura on on Kids WB on the weekdays. I'm a 90s kid. I watched that kind of stuff, and I enjoyed watching a lot of that, and it's a really big part of nostalgia, especially also when the anime actually came out. I haven't finished watching it yet, but I was going through, and I was like, okay, this is really cool. It's not the same as it initially was before, obviously, because they tried to make it a little more modern. But I was a big Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles fan, so a lot of the oh my goodness, I can't think. A lot of Clamp in general, the people who made Cardcaptor Sakura, I've enjoyed reading a lot of their work over the years in general. So this was really cool, and I was like, okay, this would be great to have for a set because we don't have like a Holic set or whatever, that'd be fucking amazing. And the fact that it was announced English exclusive definitely had a lot of people interested, because the usual thing of what we do, of what happens, is that Japan always gets a set first, and then English gets it. There have been a few instances where Japan has gotten a set and then America's gotten it 1 to 2 months later, which is far and few between. I think one of them was, I think the biggest example was like the original Attack on Titan. We got announced very, very shortly after, or within the same time span of it being released in JP. If I remember correctly, someone told me it was like a month apart. And this is just going based off of memory for a lot of this. If what I recall, it was like a month apart, and I think Bang Dream was one of the other big ones as far as Japan still got it first, but it's like, oh, America, you're getting this shit because we own the rights to this set, and we can do that. That's understandable, especially when the company owns that series or that title. So very, very seldom has even that occurred where it's, English is also getting this right after y'all get this, or very shortly after JP gets this. So it came to a surprise to many to hear, English exclusive title. And what occurred with this is also going to affect the Batman one as well. The Batman Ninja set that is also right now announced English exclusive. If you can't hear my air quotations, check your ears. But this was this may have fucked them over on that regard, because they also stated that it was going to, they tried to defend themselves. They stated that Bushiroad stated that it was going to be a fundamentally different set. So, but they're not very transparent in whether that's going to be same cards, different effects, different cards, different setups, da-da-da. I don't know. I don't understand what they classify as a fundamentally different set when it's the exact same title. Especially after it being advertised and I don't want to say broadcasted, but advertised is the best way to say this, shown off as an English exclusive set that JP wasn't going to be getting. And pardon me 1 second while I take a drink, because my throat's already going, bruh, it's getting dry here. So 1 sec. Thank you, much appreciated. So because of that, anyone who plays only JP Weiss, and because of such, is like, okay, cool, this might still be a very interesting set, especially if JP isn't getting it. I want to invest in this. Maybe they were also 90s kids hit with nostalgia feels and going, I definitely want to get into this, but I'm not going to be able to get JP. I'm just going to pre-order like some boxes, or in some cases a case of this English exclusive set. But they're so used to playing JP, that's just what they're like. Okay, cool, well, I just have to bite the bullet and buy English cards, whatever. And all of a sudden they get told, JP's getting a set, and it's going to be a different set. They were very upset, and that's what a lot of this boils down to, is the fact of how much money was spent on this. And there were people who pre-ordered, and I firmly agree with the blog that I read for it, and I just cannot recall off the top of my head who posted this blog. I apologize if I find it within the next little bit. I will give you a shout out as well. I'm still trying to I've still been trying to fish for a lot of this stuff. It was a link my buddy Moroku shared, who he was big into this. But here's the other thing, and this, not just money. One of the big reasons that money gets brought into this is if it's a fundamentally different set, which set is going to be better? Is the English side going to have the better card effects, or is the Japanese side going to have the better card effects? The people who play mixed tournaments, Game Theory up here in Raleigh in North Carolina plays mixed. So if that's the case, and they're allowed to play one or the other, they're obviously going to choose the set that has the better effects. So a lot of people backed out and canceled their orders of these, I found it. Weiss Tea Time. I'm pulling it up now. I apologize. I wasn't able to say beforehand. And I've checked out this blog a couple times before. This was posted February 10th. This person who posted it plays both English and JP, but had not invested anything into Sakura. So it was a very objective post as far as just going on to both sides of it. So, and it was the big thing where money got brought up, and people essentially kind of got baited into. I'm trying to use my own words as much as possible, but it most definitely was the fact of, oh, we specifically wanted to get into this set. Now you're saying the same thing's getting printed, but for the JP side, and it's going to be a different set. People are going to instantly bounce out and go, wait, I want to see what the fuck gets put out. We know it's coming out in English, at this point, especially because the sets got released. Okay, cool. Now they're going to wait to see what the fuck comes out in JP and see, especially like after you see after some of the prices I was pointing out off of like JKT, I think a lot of those are very low because of this as well. But a lot of people are going to look at this, wait until the JP set comes out and goes, oh, one of these sets is much better than the other. Now I'm going to buy into it. And at that point, it's too late. I don't agree with how that was handled. I don't agree with how Bushi could have definitely waited to announce the JP Cardcaptor Sakura. They should have, from a business standpoint, they fucked up when they announced this 2 weeks prior to the English one being dropped. I feel that whoever is in their PR department definitely screwed up in that regard, and just was like, no, that wasn't smart. That was just insert meme from Hunter x Hunter of the chairman from the Hunter Association just looking down at the Chimera Ant going, bad move. It's just that. It's absolutely just, that was a very bad move on their part. And I also, this is the person, this is my point of view also as well. But yes, that was a blog from Weiss Tea Time. Very insightful. I'll actually see if I can copy the link and post it in the description of this video. If I can, it'll be down there. If not, I apologize, but I'm trying to see if I can get that posted up there. But no, for real, shout outs to Weiss Tea Time, and thank you very much. This was a set me and Moroku were actually going to go into and try out a whole bunch. I usually very, very much like grabbing the new Trial Deck Pluses and doing the Trial by Fire stuff for it, or trying to make the budget build decks. And it's like, okay, cool. Even if I don't care for this in the end, this is still some stuff you can do for it. And I bounce out sometimes. I haven't gotten too terribly invested into Apocrypha, but there's some stuff I want to do with Apocrypha. I just haven't really had the chance to, get a lot of the singles that I need. There was a lot of hype around this set, and me and Moroku were going to go big. We're going to go into it. Maybe not completely 100% ham, but I think Moroku was. I think Moroku said he was going to make it like how I'm going ham into Bang Dream. He was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'll just end up going really hard into this since, it's English exclusive. Why the fuck not? So, and he hadn't pre-ordered anything for it. But now he doesn't want to bother with the set at all. And I don't blame him. Even I'm looking at it going, is it even worth it getting the Trial Deck Pluses, more than likely, I'll still end up getting them. Outside of that, there's not going to be hardly any budget builds based off of Cardcaptor Sakura, and as far as at least what I'm predicting currently for the channel, because I don't really do JP as much. I try to keep up with what JP is producing and putting out, but for the most part, I don't pick up any JP cards. There may be a couple JP cards I've actually picked up over the years, just to have for collection purposes, just because it's pretty, or there's a couple Guilty Crown cards that I have. I'm like, we're probably never getting this in English, so I'm just going to go ahead and get a couple of these just to have. So, but I don't use them. It's whatever. Also did the same thing for some ReZero cards, thinking we were never going to get ReZero, but hey, I can get more RAM cards now, whatever. But so I feel that was a really, really bad move on their part of trying to backpedal to of how much they were trying to be like, oh, no, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to do this, da-da-da. And it wasn't what the people wanted to hear. It just the damage had already been done, and it there was they shot themselves in the foot very, very much, and it just was a very bad thing overall. So I can't reiterate that enough, and I'm gonna be trying to go ahead and shut up in just a few minutes here, as far as this is concerned. But and you know, if anybody else wants to put in their 2 cents for this, by all means. If you still plan to go into JP or English Cardcaptor Sakura, by all means, comment in the comment section. You know, let's get a discussion going. I absolutely more than willing to hear people's thoughts on it. And you know, if I agree or think that what you're saying is very interesting, I'll mention it on a future podcast. Absolutely, but for the most part right now, I'm kind of not interested in the set as much anymore. I guess it being exclusive was a big portion of it. But I'm also, as much as I want to support this card game, I'm not willing to support the sets that Bushi fucks up on. And especially if that keeps happening to stuff like at my local, if someone through my locals is a big Batman Ninja fanatic. And this is kind of another thing I was going to go into, is if the same shit happens with Batman Ninja, like, you know, that's going to... I feel that this is already going to impact that set anyway. And if the same thing happens with it, it's just going to destroy a lot of credibility. Like, Bushi was doing a lot of stuff. Bushi seemed to be listening to a lot of stuff that people wanted, that was going on. And then, you know, people are going to remember the fuck-ups way more than they're going to remember the good points that any one person, any one company does. The fuck-ups are going to get brought up a lot more, and it's going to be... how should I put it? It's going to be focused on a lot more. It's going to be pointed out, and people are going to nitpick at that fuck-up a whole bunch. It's just going to happen. No matter how many other things that they've done in the realm of right and or doing better. So I feel that what they did is going to affect the Batman Ninja sales, like in general. I don't think that there's going to be any pre-orders. If there are, it's going to be very, very small. It's going to be a very, very small amount. Anyone who keeps up with what's going on with English and JP the way that a lot of people do, especially if they are someone who's on like the global group a whole bunch and is, you know, looking at the cards going, oh, this is really interesting, but I want to wait and see what the fuck's going to happen, you know? Because of that, it's going to mess up a lot of the pre-orders, and I don't like saying conspiracy stuff for this card game because I want to see it do well, but I have said in the past, it almost seems like Bushi does stuff so that it almost seems like that Bushi wants Weiss to die. I don't want it to die. I want it to keep going. I really enjoy this game. Much more so than a bunch of other card games. But it just seems the way that Bushi sets stuff up, they want... I could be completely wrong, and I realize this sounds like tinfoil hat conversation going on, but it just seems so much like Bushi keeps doing these things little by little in increments, or in bigger increments, like with the Sakura set, so that it just seems like they want Weiss to die. Whether that's the English side, whether that's the JP side, whether it's both, I don't fucking know. It just seems like they don't want it to do as well, and they keep doing this kind of stuff so that they had that excuse in the end of, like, say with the Batman Ninja, oh well, we tried this English exclusive set, but nobody bought into it. It seems that we really can't do this anymore in the future. But that's what they're going to point out. They're going to point out, or oh look at all these sales that happened with Cardcaptor Sakura. It ended up not selling as well as we hoped it would as an English exclusive set, more air quotations. So it makes me wonder if they're like, you know, somewhere down the road, oh look, these sales were just not good. These were very bad sales. We really can't afford to try English exclusive stuff anymore. And then that's going to be another portion of Weiss to just kind of die off in that regard. We probably won't really get a chance to see English exclusive sets ever again, if that's what occurs. I don't like to say this kind of bad stuff, but it's thoughts that occur in the back of my head. Like, maybe that's their intention, maybe it's not. Point blank, though, this is going to affect future sales. This is going to affect Batman Ninja, and this is going to affect any other announced sets of quote-unquote English exclusive. It's going to fuck it up for them in the future completely. So, I've said a lot of shit about it, and I'm going to stop now. Bad move, Bushi. You could have done better. You fucked up. Anyway, moving on. So, the last little segment as far as this is going to be upcoming stuff for the channel. I got a couple other deck profiles I'm working on. If I don't have them posted up by the time this comes out, I have another Bank Dream deck based off of an Arisa standby combo and a Sword Art Online jank deck. It's kind of a just crazy shenanigans deck just for fun. It's a blue-green build sent to me, and I'll explain. I honestly do not remember the name off the top of my head. I recorded this last month. I recorded those deck profiles last month, and I have a couple other decks I'm working on, trying to get stuff sorted with that. A couple other budget builds with me and Moroku, once again based around stuff like Bang Dream. I'm still working on I still got to do the trial by fires for Fate Apocrypha and ReZero. It's just a matter of test playing those. I have all the cards for it, even though Moroku was borrowing a bunch of my Apocrypha stuff. I have all the cards that I wanted to do it for. It's just a matter of test playing and running them in our locals and seeing how they do. Outside of that, the next one of the big things I'm going to go ahead and point out next month, and this is kind of where I'm going to be throwing out, I don't want to say throwing out offers, but throwing out willingness to listen to people's opinions and whatnot. I'm always willing to listen to opinions, but if you sound like a douche, I'm going to ignore it. One of the next topics for next month I want to discuss is like the Weiss price market. I realize a lot of cards get pointed out, and a lot of, especially if it's an older set, prices go up or various things. If anybody has opinion on or whatever on the Weiss price market, why you think it's good, why you think it's bad, by all means, please comment in the comment section for this. I may bring up the comments on the next video, as well as in that same vein, any other topics that you would like to hear in future podcasts. By all means, please comment what you would want me to hear me talk about. If you want me to try to message a particular person to get on the podcast, by all means, comment. Please let me know what y'all want to hear. It would be greatly appreciated. On top of, we did decide, by we, I mean like me, Moroku, Joe Schmo, and a couple other people, have decided to eventually, and this is still in the works, work towards doing a Fate Grand Order podcast. It will be completely separate from this, as far as completely different number, obviously. Like, I've just kind of always labeled this as like the Base Damage podcast, or the Weiss. Obviously, it's mostly the Weiss Schwarz podcast for the channel. But we're going to be starting up a brand new podcast, obviously looking at what we have done right and what we have done wrong with this one to build upon and to try to end up doing like another monthly podcast, maybe. If we can do it monthly, awesome. If not, it's whatever. It's also going to be a bit more chill, a bit more casual, because I kind of want to go back to how it was an open discussion with a bunch of people, and how it was as far as like what we initially had with Weiss. I really like that, but I do also like the hey, let's get down to business aspect of it as well. It's pretty cool. So I like both, and I want to try to do a neat little mix of that for Grand Order. It may also delve into a couple other gacha games or mobile games or whatever, type of things we're playing at the time and working on. Because I do play a couple different mobile games. Danmachi, I tried Epic 7, Azure Lane, stuff like that. Hell, I even tried the Ruby mobile game, Amity Arena. So a whole bunch of that stuff you may hear my thoughts of, or just various things, but mostly it will probably, more than likely, almost always pertain to Fate Grand Order. But it's definitely going to be a more chill thing. Definitely going to be trying to get that started up here, and that's going to be something that does occur very soon. But with that, and that segment, we are going to be signing off for now. I want to thank you. I want to give a big thank you to all the subscribers. If you want to as well, please subscribe. And if not, hey, thanks for stopping by to hear me rant about card games and how people fuck up. Thank you very much. Once again, please comment anything you want to hear talked about. Your thoughts on the new upcoming sets. Your thoughts on the controversy and, you could almost say scandal, with the Cardcaptor Sakura set. By all means, please share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. It is greatly appreciated. We will be signing off for now, and I hope all of you have a really awesome the rest of your February, and I hope that you will enjoy the upcoming March as well. So with that, we will be signing off for now. Peace out for now.